では、英検1級2分間スピーチ過去問10本暗唱をやります。80番台です。はい。それではまずは89番です。題名。Agree or disagree? Celebrity activism is more beneficial than harmful. では始めます。Whether celebrity activism is more beneficial than harmful or not is a controversial debate, and my answer is clearly yes. I have to say there are some exceptions, like climate activists who regularly use private jets, but this is their case. So generally, honest celebrity activist has a great impact on their fans. Today I'm going to talk about two celebrity activists, Laura and Audrey Hepburn. Firstly, Laura is a very popular fashion model and a TV personality in Japan, and actually I have been a great fan of hers for several years. So when she talked about environmental issue and animal rights, I was really surprised. Now, how advocacy focuses on sustainable life and ethical consumer choice to her social media followers, and she herself enjoys farmer's life in Niigata, and surprisingly, her agriculture instructor is my acquaintance, who is also activist focusing on organic farming. So what Rosa is doing is great contribution to organic farming and recruiting young farmers. Secondly, another big example is Audrey Hepburn. Her work with UNICEF moved people all over the world. They were moved that a great celebrity activist used her social media platform for humanitarian aid. And her commitment was deeply rooted in their mind, along with her beautiful performances in the movies. In conclusion, celebrity activism is more beneficial than harmful for sure. Thank you. では、88番。あら、なんじゃ。なんかね、この本当、Windows 嫌い。いや、次です。Is homeschooling is as effective as traditional schooling ですね。いきます。Whether homeschooling is as effective as traditional schooling is or not is a controversial debate and very interesting topic to me because I was an online teacher for several years. And from my experience, homeschooling has a great potential and much better to some students. Today I'm going to talk about cost effectiveness, many teachers and materials, and achievement. Firstly, let's think about cost effectiveness. You might think initial cost like preparing for Wi-Fi and tablet is quite expensive. That's right, but it should be covered by subsidies from the government. Imagine you live far away from school or you cannot go to school for some reason, such as traffic accident, heavy rain, heavy snow, or when you are sick, when you are bullied and you feel neglected. Homeschooling is much better and much more cost effective. Secondly, homeschooling has a lot of teachers and materials. I will give a good example. That's Khan Academy. Khan Academy is a U.S. education non-profit organization, and I hear there are more than 10,000 YouTube channels and too many teachers to count. Also, they have developed their own AI which can teach you. As a result, many public schools in the U.S. adopt this system. Now, students can choose teachers and materials they like, and AI can give them feedback instantly and almost perfectly. Finally, let's think about achievement. According to the data of Khan Academy, their, their users' achievement is much better than the average of OECD countries. In conclusion, homeschooling has a great potential and much better to some students. Thank you. 次。Is nuclear disarmament achievable in a lifetime ですね。Whether nuclear disarmament is achievable in a lifetime or not is a controversial debate. Regrettably, my answer is no. As one of the people of Japan, which is the only country where atomic bombs were dropped, I strongly uh, hope nuclear weapons should be eliminated, but it's almost impossible. Today I'm going to talk about the current situation and the new tension in Asia. Firstly, after World War II, United Nations was established to keep well-being of human beings and world peace. But almost at the same time, the Cold War started, and since then there have been lots of international conflict here and there on Earth. For example, Korean War, Vietnam War, Middle East Wars, and India-Pakistan wars. These conflicts promote countries involved to develop their own nuclear weapons. Secondly, let's think about the new tension in Asia. The clearest example posing great threat to Japan is China. As of January 2025, the Chinese government addressed they created 100 nuclear weapons in only 1 year. And North Korea, which is believed to have 50 nuclear weapons, is another threat. And of course, Russia has the most nuclear weapons now. Japan is surrounded three countries which possess nuclear weapons, and new tension in Asia raised controversial debate about the potential of nuclear weapons, including Japan. In conclusion, regrettably, nuclear disarmament is not achievable in our lifetime. 次、86番。Should people have the right to delete their online data permanently? ですね。Whether people should have the right to delete their online data permanently or not is a controversial debate, and my answer is yes. I have to say there are some exceptions, like erasure of article about misconduct of politicians, but it is rare case. So generally, people have the right to delete online data, and it is one of the fundamental rights. Today, I'm going to talk about two cases. Personal control and protection from harm. Firstly, people have the right to control their online data in the digital age where a lot of personal information is collected. Their online footprint is left for their lifetime, which affects their academic background, job opportunities, and even marriage. So, the ability to delete data enables them to correct past mistakes and keep going with their new life. Secondly, permanent nature of online data can be used for malicious purposes such as defamation, smears, and online bullying. So, the right to delete data enables them to remove harmful, inaccurate, and outdated information. Also, by deleting data, data being exposed to data breach can be reduced. In conclusion, people have the right to delete their online data permanently. Thank you. はい、次。Does using surveillance help improve employees' productivity? Whether using surveillance helps improve employees' productivity or not is a controversial debate, and my answer is no. You might think monitoring employees enables them to stay on tasks, but in the long run, it leads to poor outcomes. Today, I'm going to cover the three reasons. Erosion of motivation, increased stress and anxiety, and invasion of privacy. Firstly, surveillance can undermine our motivation. If I can choose a workplace with surveillance or one without it, I would choose the latter. And I can guess many of you will choose the same choice. Our concentration cannot last so long. And the most appropriate time for best performance is different from person to person. Also, the innovation and creativity which brings about remarkable outcomes can be fostered in a relaxing time. Secondly, surveillance can increase stress and anxiety. It sometimes puts a lot of psychological pressure on employees, and it sometimes leads to burnout or depression. Finally, over surveillance is invasion of privacy. For example, if surveillance cameras are placed in the locker rooms and restroom, it is clear invasion of privacy. Also, if employers can check employees' message sent to their friends or family members, it is clear violation of human rights. In conclusion, using surveillance eventually leads to poor outcomes of employees' productivity. はい、次84番。Whether animal cloning is morally acceptable practice or not is a controversial debate, and my answer is clearly yes. I know there are a lot of opposing voices from the viewpoint of animal rights and ethical value, but I think it is necessary for human beings to take measures of animal cloning. Today, I'm going to talk about two factors. Food depression and ecosystem devastation. Firstly, it is often said in 2050 the world population will become 10 billion and we will surely face food depression due to overpopulation. So animal cloning seems effective because it can create cloned food which give us a lot of nutrients like protein, fat, and carbohydrate. And also, I hear today's cloning technology can make only the part we eat, like cultivated meat, which mitigate bad feelings of vegetarians and focusing on animal rights. Secondly, many countries have been focusing too much on economic growth. As a result, a large scale of development has been making a lot of animals and plants disappear very quickly. This biodiversity loss and ecosystem devastation is going much faster than we can imagine. So animal cloning seems effective. They can make a new balance in ecosystem in the near future after ensuring its security. In conclusion, animal cloning is a morally acceptable practice. On the contrary, it can save our planet Earth. Thank you. 次。Whether space exploration should be funded by private companies instead of governments or not is a controversial debate, and my answer is yes, generally. The free and flexible nature of private companies has a great potential. Today I'm going to talk about three factors: cost effectiveness, faster innovation, and many funding sources. First, let's talk about cost effectiveness. There are a lot of competitors in this field, so private companies should try to reduce their cost to stay competitive and grow their profits. For example, they develop a reusable rocket which can reduce launch cost significantly. Secondly, private companies have a great potential for faster innovation. They are willing to take risks, move quickly, and take latest innovation. Also, they don't have to be supervised state authority. They can adopt a test and fail approach. Then finally, uh, they have a lot of funding sources is from venture capitalists. For example, in Japan, one of the most famous venture capitalists, Horie Takahumi-san, has invested a large amount of money on space business. And he says space business can create a lot of spin-off benefits like carbon fiber, water purification, and preserved food. In conclusion, space exploration should be funded by private companies in many fields instead of governments. Thank you. 長げ。次です。ちょっと喉を潤して。ああ、一年近くやってると、発音はともかくだいぶスラスラ言えるようになります。Whether a legal drinking age should be lowered or not is a controversial debate, and my answer is clearly yes. While Japan's civil court stipulates that people become adults at the age of 18, the legal drinking age is still 20. Today, I'm going to talk about why this discrepancy arises and why I insist legal drinking age should be lowered. Firstly, there are several reasons for this discrepancy. Firstly, Japanese teens are less usually less independent of their parents and family. Also, Japan has deep consideration about health issues, so Japan has one of the lowest rates of drinking among teens all over the world. And the most importantly, there are very strict rules in high schools, including prohibition of drinking. And students usually attend high school until the age of 18. So if legal drinking age is lowered to 18, 80 students can drink legally, but they cannot under the regulation of high school. However, even in this complicated situation, I strongly insist legal drinking age should be lowered, just because they should be independent and responsible. There are a lot of challenges they are going to face, like demographic shift, climate change, and international conflict. So they should gain the ability of critical thinking and problem solving to create their future by themselves. And to do so, they must acknowledge their responsibility, like working, voting, and paying tax. In conclusion, legal drinking age should be lowered along with high school students' responsibility and independence. Thank you. あ、間違えた。これですね。should countries with high carbon emissions pay reparation to those affected by climate change? いきます。With countries with high carbon emissions should pay reparation to those affected by climate change or not is a controversial debate, and my answer is clearly no. Today I'm going to talk about two reasons. Unclear estimate and importance of international cooperation. Firstly, let's think about unclear estimate. I know there are some world organizations, such as International Energy Agency, which issue annual reports of demand and consumption of fossil fuels and renewables, but I strongly doubt their reliability. For one thing, when a lot of solar panels are built, they may be counted as a reduction of carbon emission. But at the same time, a lot of trees are being cut down and a lot of lands have being reclaimed. They counted, maybe not. Also, the situation is getting worse. Despite a lot of challenges by ecosystem devastation, there have been strong economic struggles between G7 and BRICS countries, especially the US and China. They will develop infrastructure by reclaiming lands and cutting down a lot of trees. We cannot stop this conflict. Now, there are new target is global south, especially African continent, which is rich in natural resources and biodiversity. Now, no one can tell who has a responsibility for climate change. Secondly, reparation is a kind of punishment system, so it might leave a grudge and hatred. As you know, climate change is the most challenging global concern, so international collaboration is the most important. And this topic has been discussed at the COP's meeting every year, and I hope this kind of meeting should be held more often and more effectively. In conclusion, reparation with high carbon emission is almost impossible. Instead, we should hold international meeting about climate issue more often and more effectively. これだいぶ多分2分オーバーしましたね。なんか、ちょっとこけました。なんかちょっと、10本連続でやるとちょっと途中中で疲れてきます。で、じゃあ最後です。Whether there should be more decentralization of government or not is a controversial debate, and my answer is clearly yes. Today, I'm going to talk about deformation already made and problems still left. Firstly, there have been lots of deformation of decentralization of the government since around 2000. For example, just in 2000, a comprehensive decentralization law was enacted, and thanks to this law, roles of central and local governments were well classified. The central government entrusted a lot of roles to local governments such as sanitation, election, education, and social welfare. Also, there have been a lot of municipal mergers since then. As a result, now local governments are in charge of about 60% of total expenditure of the government. However, there are a lot of problems still left. For one thing, central government want to control local matter, especially fiscal matter. And in fact, most of the local governments cannot work well without subsidies and local allocation tax from the central government. Also, both governments have a strong relationship with big companies, and this connection sometimes causes corruption. In conclusion, there should be more decentralization of the government, but there is something we should consider, uh, like what both governments and big companies are doing. Thank you very much for listening. ということで、はいお経スピーチ10本でございました。ありがとうございました。今日はこれぐらいにして寝ようかなと思います。また明日の朝、79番から33番まで頑張ります。ごきげんよう。